My name is David Goodstein, and I've spent the last 14 years in the solar arena. In that time, I built out and managed virtual call sales teams selling solar. In addition, I've managed and owned international call centers generating and selling solar appointments to my clients. Through my experience, I learned that in order to be successful, there needs to be a system in place to both manage the agents and for the agents to have an easy to use system and blueprint to be able to follow. As I'm sure you're aware, the biggest problem in the industry is that it's so convoluted, fragmented, and nuanced, where each installation group, financing company, state, county, and utility company all have their own way of doing things and their own requirements. Not to mention, each agent may be on a different level, having different experiences, and have their own way of doing things, especially if you're trying to do it on a national level. It's one thing if you're working in one state and one geographic area within that state, where you're just dealing with one or two utility companies and one or two financing options. That's pretty straightforward and easy enough. But what happens if you're in multiple states with hundreds of utility companies and multiple finance companies? How does the agent even know where to begin? What if there are multiple installation companies with multiple financing options? How does the agent choose? It's virtually impossible to manage, let alone for the agent to be able to operate effectively. To illustrate my point, I'll use Freedom Forever as an example. Freedom Forever is our main installation partner and was chosen because of their reputation, flexibility regarding equipment, installations, financing, and their expansive coverage area. At the moment, they're in 35 states, the District of Columbia, and Puerto Rico, and are adding additional states in the future. Their financing company is Mosaic for purchases and work with 5 different leasing companies, Infin, Everbright, GoodLeap, Sonova, and Sunrun. When you add it all up, they work with over 600 utility companies. So from the agent's perspective, you can imagine how overwhelmed they would be with all the different options, with each having their own requirements. So for that reason, I created a uniform centralized platform that is automated and has a detailed, comprehensive training program with a dialer and CRM built into it. Basically creating a turnkey operation that provides a blueprint for the agent's success. The overall goal was to create a comprehensive, standardized sales process, including the script and presentation that's easy for the agents to follow and understand, while at the same time streamlining the process, saving valuable time and aggravation for all concerned. The platform was built with freedom in mind, but is flexible enough to accommodate growth and can incorporate any additional installation and financing companies as needed. It's also scalable and can handle any number of agents. Sticking with the Freedom Forever theme and illustrate how convoluted the process is to not only train agents, but also to have them conduct day-to-day operations. So when you log into the Freedom Forever portal and you go to the resource center for the training materials, there are many folders, subfolders, and subfolders. If you total it all out, there's 500 documents in all that are combined in these folders. It's very convoluted and hard to navigate, let alone find exactly what you're looking for. And to be honest, it could be looking for a needle in a haystack. If you didn't have this platform that I'm about to present, the agent would spend considerable amount of time getting the answers to the most basic things over and over and over again. All this information was condensed into the platform, with much of it being automated. I'm now going to briefly outline and explain the different components of the system, then explain the process and go into each component in detail. As you can see on the left-hand side, we have a number of different navigational tabs. Okay, so let's talk about the process and explain how this all ties together. So let's start with the dialer. It's integrated into the system and is plug and play. The agent would log into the system and take calls remotely from any location. All that's needed is a computer and a high-speed internet. It's a customized predictive dialer built on a Vichy platform. It's Vichy on steroids. At the height of my lead generation company, we had over 1,000 agents logged in, making between 1 million to 1.5 million phone calls daily, connecting and having conversations with between 45 and 75,000 people a day. We use tier one VoIP routes and have at least 10 DIDs or caller IDs for each area code dialed. The DIDs are rotated out as they get flagged for spam and replaced with new ones. The advantage being that the customer recognizes that it's a local number and prone to answer the call as it does not show up for spam call on their caller ID. The dialer is set up for both sales agents wanting to get their own appointments and offshore opening agents who either set the appointments or do a live transfer to one of the sales agents. Therefore, we have two separate types of leads in the database. We have age solar appointment leads for the sales agents and over 300 million leads, both in English and in Spanish, for the offshore opening agents to generate either transfers for the closing agent or full-blown appointments. They're both in English and Spanish campaigns available with the appropriate leads assigned to each. As you can see, the leads are sorted by state and counties within those states or regions for targeted dialing. At any given time, we're dialing between 20 and 30 lists at a time. Each list contains approximately 50,000 leads each. All the calls are recorded and stored. The purpose being that if the agent ever gets into a he said, she said situation, we have the recordings to fall back on as proof. All right, when the agent gets done setting the appointment, the agent's going to fill out what's called a web form. They're going to fill out all the different fields. If it's the lead is coming from a dialer, all this information will be pre-populated into the web form. If not, the agent will have to fill out the fields manually. If the information is incorrect, they'll have to correct the information. So once the agent puts in the state, there's a drop-down box that contains all the different utility companies in that state. There's a drop-down box for the shade and what type of roof it is. It's also a text box for any specific notes the agent thought they could use. For example, Mr. Jones is an older gentleman, retired, no taxable income. Mr. Jones has his son who helps him with his financial decisions, and his son Michael will be on the appointment as well. Mr. Jones has a big tree to the right of his front door. He's willing to cut or trim it if it made financial sense. Whatever the case is, they're then going to use the calendar as to set the appointment and what time it was, 3 p.m., and then hit submit. Once completed, the system will trigger a series of events that are all automated in the system. It will automatically enter the appointment in the agent's calendar, generate and send an email to the customer, providing the time and date of the appointment with an auto-generated link to Google Meet. It will then send a follow-up email reminding the customer of the appointment on the day of the appointment. The first email will also include links to a series of short videos to give the customer some basic knowledge of solar and provide some credibility for the agent by going the extra mile. The second email is going to include some brochures, again, to broaden the customer's knowledge and create credibility, helping to ensure that they follow through and meet with the agent. Both emails are reminding them to send the electric bill and why it's so important for them to do so. As I said, we use Google Meet to conduct the presentation between the agent and the customer. We found that from the customer's perspective, using Google Meet is less cumbersome and less complicated to use than, say, Zoom or any other conference call application. All the customer has to do is follow the link, and they don't have to download any software or any such nonsense. The next thing I wanted to demonstrate was the submission report. To access that, you have the submission report tab. This is where both the agent and management can go to see all the deals in their pipe. All the information listed in the one-line report is what was entered in the web form when the appointment was set. It's also where the phone call recording can be accessed. It's also linked to Google Earth, where the agent can see a satellite image of the house. So if we scroll over, you can see the one-line report and all the information that is there. Here they can access the recordings. The recordings, again, are stored, so we can access them at any time. And if we hit click view, it takes the agent to Google Earth, where they can see what the property looks like, what type of house it is, what kind of roof, etc. Next, we have the pre-submission worksheet. This is where the agent will do all the due diligence ahead of the presentation. It's designed to help narrow down the choices available, choose which company to use when creating the baseline proposals, and give the agent direction and game plan on how to proceed. It can be accessed by finding the customer in the submission report. When you locate the customer's name and their phone number, you just press it and the worksheet will populate. There's 8 steps to the process. The agent will fill out the form and save it for reference for when it comes time to create the proposal later on. The first thing you're going to see is the web form that was previously filled out here on top. Step 1 is the sales lookup tool. To access it, we're going to have to go to the Freedom portal and navigate to the sales lookup tool. We're going to enter in the zip code, the city, the utility company, and then it's going to populate a lot of the information that the agent is going to need for later on when they create the proposal. We're then going to copy the information and paste it into this text box so the agent has it for later on. Now, a couple of things to note. The expected pre-install approval time and processing time is just an estimation. It's not meant to be taken gospel because of some things beyond our control, specifically the permitting and approval time processes. You're also going to notice that there's a distance adder in this example. We're going to notate that because we want to include it in the adder sheet so we're not charged for it. For whatever reason, the sales lookup tool does not tell us what the options are for leasing or financing companies. To do that, the agent must figure out if the leasing company even operates in that state and then find out if they work with the customer's utility company. Therefore, we built an automation into the process to prevent that. Just to figure out if a specific finance company works with the customer's utility company, if I had to do it manually, it would take as much as an hour because you would literally have to go into the sales resource center, find the finance companies, and one by one go through them, each folder, find their active utility lists, open them up, look for the state, and then look for the utility company in that state to see if the company even works with that utility company. And then you'd have to repeat the process for each of the 5 remaining companies that Freedom currently works with. As I said, it would be easy if we were just working in one state, in one geographic area, but that's not the case. Freedom currently is in 35 states, DC, and Puerto Rico, as I mentioned earlier. Which brings us to step 2, the red line and utility company lookup. When the web form was filled out, 2 of the fields were the state and the customer's utility company. That extends down to here and lets the agent know all the options that are available based off of the state and utility company. It also shows what the red lines are in that state and which financial option is available to the agent. This lets the agent see which option will offer the highest commission using the lowest red line. It's also going to let the agent know how to price out the proposals and how to figure out the adder cost and incorporate them into the pricing if it's a lease. So in this example, the only option we have for leasing is Sunnova, with this being the red line price. purchase or financing, this would be the red line, right? That's if it was a self-generated lead, and this would be the red line if we supplied the leads. In other words, it came from either the dialer or a transfer, or the appointment was sent to that specific agent. We then have the Zillow lookup, where we want the agent to go to Zillow and look up the customer's address to see what the house looks like ahead of time. The information is going to come in handy later on and save us a lot of time. Sometimes customers are confused or mistaken. Maybe they gave us the wrong answer to the right question or the right answer to the wrong question. Therefore, we want to verify what the customer previously said regarding the type of house and roof, shade, etc. Does it have a pool or a jacuzzi? We're then going to go to the county appraiser's lookup. The agent's going to Google search the property appraiser's website for whatever county and state the customer lives in, find out who the actual owner is and when it was last sold. Sometimes the customer says they own it when legally they do not. It might be a rent-to-own situation and they consider themselves owners. We want to be proactive, not reactive. The last thing we want to do is jump through all these hoops, find out the person that we're speaking with is not the actual homeowner, and waste a bunch of time and effort to find out we need to adjust the finance company and repitch the customer because it's held in a trust or an LLC, or and the finance company doesn't allow for that. Again, we want to know that ahead of time before jumping through these hoops, which brings us to step 5, review guidelines and requirements for all financing companies. This cheat sheet covers the requirements and qualifications for each company. Each company has different requirements. Therefore, it's important for the agent to know if the customer meets with all the different requirements ahead of time. If the customer or property do not meet all of them, they will be disqualified. Again, the last thing we want to do is spend a lot of time entering the lead, building out the system, pitching that option to the customer, getting them to agree to it, and then find out we can't do it with this finance company because they didn't meet all their. The objective is to filter down and narrow what options are available for the customer ahead of time. Basically, the cheat sheet allows to compare side by side each company and the requirements for each category. So at top, you can see the different companies that Freedom works with and what their requirements are. You can see it's all divided into different sections: ownership, property types allowed, roof types allowed, whether they allow for ground mounts, the system size, credit requirements, payment options, etc. That brings us to step 6, which remaining companies meet with all the qualifications. So we said earlier that Sunnova and purchase or finance was allowed. They're going to hit update, and that's going to be saved in the system for later review. We then have the adder sheet. Says all the different pricing for the different components that may be added to the system. And then we have a adder sheet calculator. We defaulted to $1,500 for miscellaneous amount, which may cover anything that may pop up. In this particular case, we have $1,000 adder, and whatever else is there, we would enter it here. Again, it's for later on when they build out the system, and they're going to use it to price it out accordingly. Step 8, we want the agents to do a Google search for the articles on the customer's specific utility company regarding rate increases. When it comes time to do the presentation, the agent will show the customer the results, more or less customizing the presentation for them and building credibility by going the extra mile. We're also building on the pain point of rising utility costs, and this goes a long way to do that. So you can see by completing this form, it uncomplicates things and streamlines the process by narrowing down the choices for the agent. Just takes a few minutes to complete, and by doing the initial extra work in the beginning, we save twice the amount of time of work later on. As I say, measure twice, cut once. Once the due diligence process is completed, it's now time to create the proposals. Where possible, we want the agent to create 2 starting point proposals, one each for a lease and another for purchase. because of the time they take to create. We do not want to bore the customers and have them do it while making the presentation. Also, we want to be prepared ahead of time and have a basic understanding of what it is we're talking about and know what pitfalls are ahead so we're not surprised when talking to the customer and then we have to fumble and stumble our way through it. At this point, we have all the basic information on the customer. The agent's going to find out their needs, wants, and comfort level when making the presentation by asking probing questions. That information will determine which proposal to demonstrate, but at the same time, having the other proposal ready if needed. All right, so moving on, if we go to the step-by-step submission guide, which is what you're looking at, this provides an easy to follow step-by-step instructions on how to navigate to enter leads and build out and price proposals in the different portals for all the various finance and leasing companies. Once again, we have all the different companies on top and the different steps in order on the left-hand side. Again, without it, the agent would have to go to the Freedom Portal, go to the Learning Center, and then find the step-by-step documents for each company. Here, it's all in one place. We navigate over to the Contacts tab. It includes all the phone numbers and emails for the various departments, not only in Freedom, but for all the finance and leasing companies. Basically having them all listed in one place so it's easy to navigate. The last thing we want to do is have the agent go through the Freedom Portal to try to find a phone number or an email that's specific to their needs. Moving on, the Adder Sheet, Cheat Sheet, and Redline tabs are all included in the worksheet and are there for the agent to easily navigate to get a quick glimpse or quick answers if needed without having to go through the worksheet. All right, that gets us to the training section. To ease the strain and streamline the process, we created a structured step-by-step training program that is broken down into bite-sized pieces that is manageable. It's designed to set the agent up for success from the very beginning without throwing too much at them and have them become overwhelmed. The initial training is spread out over 5 days. It's designed to allow the agents to be productive starting on day 2 while they go through the training. Each day, there will be video assignments for the agent to complete. After each assignment, the agent will be taking calls, setting appointments, and filling out their calendar while learning both book knowledge and gaining real life experiences. So if we go to the training video section, you'll notice there's a number of tabs. The first is the first 5 days of training. Again, each day there's a different assignment. So on the first day, they'll do the introduction. The second day, they'll go through these 4 videos on how to use the dialer, how to use the appointment setting script, how to deliver it, learn the rebuttals, and how to fill out the web form, etc. On day 3, they'll learn how to use the due diligence. On day 4, they'll learn how to use the Freedom Portal so they can learn how to input leads, create the proposals, or build out the proposals, price them accordingly, etc. And then on day 4, they're actually going to learn how to use the presentation and script. All right, starting on day 6 and beyond, obviously knowledge is power. The more the agents know, the more productive they're going to be. The entire library of videos was created for the agent's continuing education. It includes everything from leasing and financing options to product knowledge to procedures to follow. They're all sorted by topic and are easy to navigate. The agent should watch at least one topic each day before they get started with their dialing process. So we can just navigate through them. Here's the Freedom Forever documents, financing and leasing, the after presentation process, different equipment. Again, it's sorted by the different equipment. And then finally, Save Streets. That brings us to the document training material. And if we open that up, as mentioned, we rinse the main components of all the documents in the Freedom Forever portal and put them in one place so it's easy to navigate for the agent's convenience. Just like the videos, the documents are all sorted by topic. If the agent is looking for something specific and wants to drill down and acquire different additional information on a specific topic, this is where they'll go. All right, let's get into the script itself. I wrote the script with the understanding that our job is not to sell solar. Our job is to sell and maintain credibility. And once we have established our credibility, the product, in this case, solar, is going to sell itself. The goal is not to get the sale. Ultimately, the goal is to get the sale, make it stick, get it installed, and get paid for it. Getting the sale and then have it cancel does us no good. There are no participation prizes. We only get when it installs. Therefore, I had to create a script that does just that, as well as have a uniform system in place to make it work, where all the agents are on the same page, doing the same thing without freestyling. Now, some agents will be new to solar, some are experienced solar agents, but are new to Freedom, and some will be experienced with Freedom Forever. Most people hate using scripts because it's the most unnatural thing to do. On the surface, some may find it overly simplistic, but knowing that all the agents have different experience, skill, and comfort levels, it had to be written this way for all levels of agent in a uniform manner. The script is providing the agent with a game plan and blueprint to follow, allowing the agent to remain in control and avoid going down rabbit holes or have the conversation take a turn and the agent goes off to Pluto somewhere. It also gives the agent an advantage because it acts like an open book test when you are back in school. As you may have noticed, the script is fairly complex. Like an onion, the script has many layers to it. It's comprehensive and offers something for everyone. It's easy to follow and understand both for the agent and from the customer's perspectives. It's designed to tell a story and engage the customer in a conversational manner. It's also allowing the agent to set expectations and the tone, staying ahead of the customer. In fact, in most cases, the script is addressing the answer to their questions or concerns before they even think of them or bring them up. Now, you're going to notice the script is color coordinated. Different colored highlights and fonts mean different things and should be approached accordingly. They refer to either instructions, rebuttals, or sidebars that are built in. Therefore, it's nowhere near as long as it looks. The estimated time to get through a proposal with a customer is somewhere between 45 and 60 minutes, depending on the customer's questions, comments, concerns, and interactions. The first thing you see on top of page one is a list of probing questions, triggers, and empathy phrases. They're listed every 4 pages for the agent's convenience in case their mind goes blank or they can't think of what to say or ask to make a conversation or create rapport. Basically, the agent will be showing the customer the slides in the PowerPoint presentation and reading from the script, breaking it all down into bite-sized pieces by describing and explaining each of the slides. Think of the presentation as a series of scenes that make up a play, and think of the script as a series of scripts, one for each scene in the play. All the slides are all interconnected and designed to tell a story. It's designed to keep the customer engaged, interested, and involved, while at the same time educating them and building rapport and credibility throughout. The introduction section is designed to sell them on the idea of solar and create a call to action. Now, at this point, the agent has asked for the utility bill when they scheduled the appointment in the first place. We also sent 2 emails to invite them to the meeting and again asked for the utility bill in each of the emails. Most agents would not entertain the idea of doing a presentation without having the bill. What they fail to realize is that they did not give the customer enough reason to jump through hoops and go on a scavenger hunt to find the electric bills and send them to the agent. Therefore, the agent blew the opportunity and missed out. The goal here is to at least get in front of them and provide that reason. At the end of the introduction section, there's a full stop built in. We're again asking for the utility bill if they have not sent it. If they previously sent it or sent it at that moment, the agent will continue with the presentation. If no bill is received, then we politely explain that we can't continue without it as we can't provide them with accurate information. Therefore, we're going to have to reschedule it once we receive the electric bills. Most scripts are designed to sell either a purchase or lease product. This script is actually designed to sell both simultaneously. The script is divided into 6 sections or steps. They are as follows: the introduction, which we previously spoke about, the purchase section, the lease section, building out the system, and then 2 different closes built in, one for the purchase and one for the lease. Depending on the conversation and how it goes, the script is going to direct the agent to either the purchase or lease section, and then whichever close applies, one or the other. In other words, it's really 2 scripts built into one. The agent probably will not be going through the entire script with the customer. It's situational. For example, let's say the agent is speaking with a 75-year-old who has no taxable income. Obviously, purchasing or financing the system's not going to work. The script instructs the agent to bypass the purchase part of the script and go directly to the lease part, and then use the lease close section to get the deal done. So again, it instructs the agent, go right to 21 and then go right into the close. PowerPoint presentation, as I mentioned, is what the agent will be sharing with the customer. It's easy to navigate, where the agent can use the previous and next page tabs, as well as use the drop-down menu. The agent's also going to have the ability to zoom in and out of the screen. When creating the script, it became apparent that a customized presentation was also needed to coincide with it for a number of reasons. The first being to help narrate the story to the customer. As explained, the script is basically describing the slides that are being shared with the customer. The second reason is the presentation in the Freedom Forever portal is too generic and incomplete. Not to mention everyone uses it. We want to set ourselves apart. And the third reason is that includes a number of calculators built in to help the agents demonstrate to the customers how the numbers were derived, rather than having to show them manually on a whiteboard. The customer can see side by side what their current situation is against what we're proposing, along with all the benefits that are all in one place. So I'm not going to go through the entire presentation with you now. However, I did want to demonstrate the calculators that are built in. So if we go to slide 6, cost of doing nothing. This is if the customer does not want to go solar. This is what their situation is going to look like. Let's say their average utility bill increases by an average of 4% a year. Let's say their monthly electric bill was $300. Well, this is going to explain to them that they're spending $3,600 a year. 25 years from now, their monthly bill is going to be $769, and they're going to spend approximately $9,000 a year. If you totaled out what they spent over 25 years, they're spending almost $150,000. So that's pretty cool. If we go back to our drop-down menu, there's another cool calculator built in, and that's the solar payback period. It's the break-even period. So if we said that the customer was saving, say, $3,000 a year, and the cost of the system was $30,000, and the total tax credit was $9,000, it's going to take them 7 years to get to the break-even point, which is pretty cool and handy to have when trying to explain it to the customer. We then have the finance calculator for the finance close. Doesn't matter whether they're financing it or purchasing it. Once again, let's use the 4%, 300 is the cost of doing nothing. Payment was $200 if they went solar. Let's say it was a 10K system, 25 years for the loan. The amount financed was $30,000. They're going to save $100 in the first month, $1,200 a year. In year 25, they're going to save $569 a month and $6,828 a year in year 25. If they total it out over 25 years, they're going to be saving $89,000. Their ITC tax credit is $9,000. If they had state renewable energy credits, you would list them there. It would total it out. And then it shows what their home value is going to increase based off of $5,911 per kilowatt. And then it totals up what the benefits and savings are, which is perfect for when you do the close. You're literally, the agent is just reading off the numbers, basically selling it. We have a lease calculator that's virtually the same thing. The difference being that with leases, there may be an escalator. So it accounts for that and the same principle. Again, all the agent has to do is plug in the numbers in the pink fields, and the calculator will populate and do the calculations for everything else. We go to the lease adder calculator that's also built into the CRM. Without getting complicated, the lease adder calculator will come in handy when the agent is trying to price out leasing deals if adders are used. The agent will need to come up with the target watt EPC, what they will then have to add to the cost per watt. Pretty simple. They just fill out the fields and it populates what they need to know right there. Okay, moving back to the CRM, you'll notice that the agent's CRM is a little different than mine. In addition to what you see listed here on the left-hand side, the agent will also have a tab that is labeled scheduling. It's where they will find all the appointments, including date and time, and the Google Meet links for each specific appointment. It was auto-generated originally from the web form when the appointment was set. So that's the entire platform in a nutshell. The intention of the video was to introduce you to our process, systems, training outline, and procedures. The overall goal was to create a comprehensive, standardized sales process that's easy for agents to follow and understand and allow them to excel. Thank you for taking the time to review this video. Please let me know if you're interested in discussing this in detail. I look forward to your feedback. Once again, thank you for your time and your patience.